Okay, now let us start with section 54 exemptions. In that, let us start with three sections: section 54, 54B, and 54D. So we'll try to compare all these three sections together. First, let us focus on something called as applicability. Section 54 and 54B, both the sections are applicable only for individual and HUF. These two sections are applicable for whom? Only for individual HUF. Same case with your section 54B also. Whereas coming to 54D, 54D is applicable for any person. You may be individual, you may be HUF, you may be company, you may be partnership firm, you may be LLP, you may be anything. For you, section 54D is applicable. Then 54, what asset to be transferred? That's what is one of the most important thing. Section 54 says that you need to transfer something called as a long-term capital asset. You need to transfer something called as a long-term capital asset. And what is that? That long-term capital asset should be residential house property. So any SSC being an individual, any SSC being an HUF, transferring a residential house property which is a long-term capital asset, then he is eligible for 54. Now coming to 54B. 54B, what should happen? Here 54B says that you should transfer, you may transfer either something called as short-term capital asset, or you may transfer something called as long-term capital asset. Okay, here for 54 the point clearly mentioned that should be compulsory a long-term capital asset for 54, and that long-term capital asset should be residential house property. But for section 54B, that asset could be short-term capital asset and that asset could be long-term capital asset. Now what is that asset? That asset is nothing but a land which is something called as agriculture land. Okay, that land is something called as agriculture land. Okay, so the thing is, here you are transferring something called as a agriculture land. That agriculture land may be short term or that agriculture land may be long term, but the condition is what? Used for agriculture for at least a period of 2 years. The land should be used for the purpose of agriculture for at least a period of 2 years before the date of transfer. If you use that for 2 years, then done, and that is used for agriculture. So even though it's a short term or even though it's a long term, whatever asset you transfer, then ultimately if the other conditions are satisfied, then ultimately you can take the benefit of section 54B. Now let us try to understand under 54D what asset you need to transfer. Same as 54B, you need to transfer either something called as short term, or you may be transferring something called as long term. So that asset, capital asset being transferred is either short term or long term capital asset. What is it? Here that asset you are transferring may be land or may be building. That land may be, the asset which you are transferring may be short term or may be long term. Here the asset is what? Land or building. What you should do? That land or building should be used for industrial undertaking, industrial purpose. So the land or building should be used by you for the industrial purpose for at least a period of 2 years. For a minimum period of 2 years, that SSC should use that land or building for carrying his industrial operations. Again, 54B, transfer of a residential house property being an long-term capital asset. 54, long transfer of a residential house property being a long-term capital asset. 54B, agriculture land used at least for a period of 2 years and that asset may be short-term or that asset may be long-term. 54D, industrial land or industrial building you are transferring, and that industrial land or building may be something called as short term or long term. That's what is the applicability, and that's what is the asset which you are supposed to be transferred. Now what? Now conditions. The most important part of 54, 54b, 54d is nothing but the compliance of the condition. Here there are two conditions. This has been amended. We are having an amended with effect from the Finance Act. So this provision is amended with the respect to the Finance Act 2019. So there is an amendment for this. Finance Act 2019 has amended this with effect from the assessment year 2000 and 2001. Sorry, to 2021, with effect from the assessment year, with effect from assessment year 2021. This provision has been amended, not the entire section 54. The conditions part has been amended. As this is amended, there is a great chance of section 54 to appear in your examination paper. Now let us see what are the conditions. Here the provision says that what it says. It says that if capital gain does not exceed what? Capital gain exceed 2 crores. First let us see the case where capital gains exceed 2 crores. Capital gain exceed rupees 2 crores. The provision is going to be different. Where capital gain does not exceed 2 crores, the provision is again going to be completely different. Now let us try to see, when the capital gain exceeds 2 crores, what is the consequences? Capital gain exceeds 2 crores. Okay, capital gain exceeds 2 crores, there is no problem, old provision itself. That means what the act says, either you can purchase the house or you can either construct the house. If you want to purchase, you can purchase 1 year before date of transfer. 1 year before the date of transfer. I will explain once this condition is discussed. I will explain with the date so that we can easily understand this provision. You can either purchase 1 year before or within 2 years from the date of transfer. What is this? Let us discuss. Say, I am transferring a long-term residential building on 31st December 2019. On this date, long-term capital asset being a residential house property was transferred on 31st December 2019. I am an individual. Applicability, individual is being transferred. What is transferring? Long-term residential house property. What? So ultimately both the conditions, first point and 2 points, are satisfied. Then I need to see the condition. What the condition says, you are transferring a capital asset being a residential house property, you should acquire another house property. I should buy another house. What is the time period for that? It says either I can buy 1 year before 31st December 2019 being date of transfer. Say suppose I had purchased on 1st January 2019 itself is my date of purchase. Then I am satisfied with the condition. Or it says you are not purchasing 1 year before. See, in the first case what I am doing, I had purchased one house, transferred the old house. That's what is one case. Second case is what? You transferred the old house, then purchase the another house within 2 years from the date of transfer. What is the date of transfer there? 31st December 2019 was the date of transfer. So as per this provision, I had transferred this, then I am going to buy. After transfer, I am going to buy. With that amount of money which I am getting, with that I am going to buy a new house. What is the time limit for that? Within 2 years from the date of transfer. The transfer date is 31st December 2019. 2 years means what? 21. 31st December 2021. Within this period, I need to purchase. So either I can purchase 1 year before the date of transfer, or I can purchase within 2 years from the date of transfer. In the case of construction, construction has to be completed within 3 years. Construction has to be completed within 3 years from date of transfer. From the date of transfer, within a period of 3 years, you need to complete your construction. That's what is the basic provision regarding this. Now, so here the next part, capital gain exceeds 2 crores, we have discussed. Now let us see the second one here. Second one, which is nothing but capital gain does not exceed 2 crores. The second case which we are going to discuss here, capital gain does not exceed 2 crores. Whatever gain you are getting, that gain is less than an amount of rupees 2 crores. The gain is less than an amount of rupees 2 crores. Then what the provision says? Time limit remains the same. I need to purchase within 1 year before the date of transfer or within 2 years from the date of transfer. I need to construct within a period of 3 years from the date of transfer. The time limit remains the same, but what changes? What changes here? Capital here, with the effect from Finance Act 2019, with effect from assessment year 2021, this point has been added. So this is going to be your recent amendment. What this says, whenever the capital gain does not exceed 2 crores, an SSA will be given an option. It's not compulsory, it's an option. What is that option? Option to buy 2 houses. That means you are selling one house, whatever money you are getting, with that you are entitled to buy 2 houses. Okay, you are entitled to buy 2 houses, and this option is to be exercised once in lifetime. If you exercise one time, you cannot exercise this option later. Means what? Let us again go back to one example. Okay, let us take one basic example. In that, let us discuss. So say for suppose I am having a house in Vizag. In Vizag I am having a house. So what I had done, this house was sold. I had sold this house. This is nothing but my residential house property, and this house is nothing but my long-term capital asset. I sold this house. I am an individual, transferred a long-term capital asset which is nothing but a residential house property. Then I got a consideration. Now what I need to see? I need to see whether I am getting a long-term capital gain, not the consideration. Long-term capital gain should be more than, is it more than 2 crores, or is your capital gain less than 2 crores? That's what is one point we need to understand. So here, let us consider I sold this house in Vizag and I got something which is nothing but 1.5 crores, which is less than 2 crores limit. So now I have been provided with 2 options, with one option. Either as usual I can go and buy one single house, or I can buy 2 houses. Now what I am doing, as my capital gain is 1.5 crores, as I got a capital gain of 1.5 crores, I am buying 2 houses. One house let us consider in Hyderabad, another house let us consider I am buying in Chennai. Say Hyderabad house I am buying, let us consider for 60 lakhs. My Hyderabad house, the cost of acquisition is going to be 60 lakhs. Now what is the balance? 1.5 crores minus 60, I am still having 90 lakhs. So Chennai house I am buying with 90 lakhs. This is an option, and this option can be exercised only once. Only once I can exercise. Say after a period of time, maybe another 5 years later, I am selling the house in Hyderabad. So when I had acquired, let us consider I had purchased this house. Let me take an example that my date of transfer, 31st December 2019 is my date of transfer. And I had acquired both the houses, let us consider, on a date of 1st February 2020 1st February 2020. So my date of acquisition of the house in Hyderabad is 1st February 20. My date of acquisition in house of Chennai, date of acquisition of house in Chennai is 1st February 20. Now, say let us consider on 1st February 25, 1st February 25, I am going to sell the house in Hyderabad. I am going to sell the house in Hyderabad. I got a capital gain, not the sale consideration. By selling this house in Hyderabad in February 2005, I got a capital gain, let us consider, of 1.8 crores. I got a capital gain of 1.8 crores by selling the house in Hyderabad. Now, what? 1.8 crores is less than 2 crores. So, I may be coming into the second category, but I cannot do. Why? Here, once I sell this property in Hyderabad, I am not entitled to buy two houses. I am not having this option. So I am having an option only to buy one house. Only to buy one house only I can do. I cannot buy two houses there. Why? Because the act clearly says once this option is exercised, that's once in your lifetime. That's once in the lifetime of the SSC, this option has to be exercised. That's what is the condition for section 54. Now, let us try to understand the condition for 54B and then we'll move on to section 54D. What is the condition for section 54B? Let us try to understand that. Here, there is basically only one condition. Already we have discussed that. The condition is nothing but the agriculture land, whatever agriculture land which has been sold, that agriculture land which is being sold, right? So coming to section 54B, what is the condition? First condition, agriculture land should be used for agriculture either by himself or by his parents. So any of them should use the agriculture land compulsorily for the purpose of agriculture. Then what he has to buy? He is selling agriculture land. See 54, he is selling long-term residential house property and he is buying another residential house property. In section 54B, he is selling an agriculture land and what he should do? Acquire another agriculture land. He has to acquire another agriculture land. What is the time limit? Within a period of 2 years. Within a period of 2 years, you should buy another agriculture land. You should buy another agriculture land within a period of 2 years. That's what is nothing but the applicability, the condition for 54B. Again, 54B is applicable for individual HUF. And that person is transferring something called as an agriculture land which is used either by himself or by his parents for the purpose of agriculture for a period of at least 2 years, and he is buying another agriculture land within a period of 2 years from date of transfer. Then I can say he has complied with all the conditions of section 54B. Now let us come to section 54D. What is 54D? You are having a industrial undertaking, you are running an industrial undertaking, you are having a land and building, and what is happening? This industrial undertaking is compulsory acquired by the compulsory acquired. So in the case of compulsory acquisition, you had transferred your land and building. Then to claim this 54D exemption, you should use the industrial undertaking, land and building for a period of at least 2 years. Then what are the other conditions you are supposed to do here? Let us see. Here, the SSC, within a period of 3 years after the date of transfer, he should purchase another land or he should purchase another building. So here, within 3 years from date of compulsory acquisition, from the date of compulsory acquisition, should acquire what? Acquire, or he can construct, acquire or construct land, acquire land or acquire building, construct building, okay, construct building. So what he can do, he can acquire land or he can acquire building, or he can acquire land and construct building within a period of 3 years from the date of undertaking. What is happening? You are running an industrial undertaking, government has compulsory acquired your land, and then ultimately your building is also acquired. So to take this 54D, you should immediately start a new undertaking by acquiring a land and acquiring a building, or acquiring a land or constructing a building within a period of 3 years from the date of transfer. If this condition is satisfied, then you can take the benefit of 54D. Again, 54D is what? Government is compulsory acquiring your land and building. Then you can be any person doing an industrial undertaking. Within a period of 3 years, if you acquire another land and construct a building, or you acquire a land and acquire a building, then you can take the benefit of 54D. Now, so we know the applicability, we know what it should be transferred, and we know the conditions. Now we can go and understand if the above conditions are satisfied, what is the amount of exemption which we can take. So let us try to understand something called as amount of exemption. Amount of exemption is same for all the 3 sections, same as 54, same as 54. So if I know this exemption, I know the amount of exemption for 54B, I know the amount of exemption for 54D as well. Now what is the amount of exemption? The act says least of the following, least of the following is allowed as exemption. Point number 1. What is the point number 1 there? The point number 1 is nothing but cost of asset acquired. Cost of asset acquired. In the case of section 54, cost of the residential house property. In the case of section 54B, cost of the agricultural land acquired. In the case of 54D, cost of new industrial undertaking and the cost of new land and new building for the industrial undertaking. So that's what is the first thing. Or what? Or capital gains. See, means what? I cannot have a capital loss after taking 54 deduction. Say, let me take an example like this. Okay, let me take an example like this. Say suppose we are having a sale consideration. Let us consider 10 lakhs. You are having a sale consideration of 10 lakhs. Let us consider you are having an indexed cost of acquisition which is amounting to 5,50,000. Then what is the gain you are getting? You are getting 4,50,000. I am investing by purchasing a building. Only one building I am purchasing. Say suppose cost of my building is 10 lakhs. I had purchased a building for 10 lakhs. Now what the provision says, 10 lakhs or capital gain, whichever is less, 10 lakhs or 4 lakhs. So ultimately I'll be taking 4,50,000 here. So my long-term capital gains is nil. So the intention of this provision is, if I consider the actual cost 10 lakhs here, I will be getting the value in negative. I cannot have a negative after taking your 54 exemptions. So your 54 exemption is reduced to the extent that your long-term capital gains will be 0 but not loss. So that's the reason the act clearly says 10 lakhs or 4.5, whatever it is less, which will be considered as your amount of exemption. Same exemption is there for 54B, 54D also. Now there is a lock-in period for all the sections. Even the lock-in period is same as 54, same as 54. What is it? 3 years is the lock-in. Means what? What is the meaning of lock-in? You are selling a residential house property which is long term, and you are buying another residential house property that residential house property should not be sold for a period of 3 years. If sold, if transferred, then what? If transferred, capital gain exempted earlier, will be taxable. Whatever capital gain which was exempted earlier will be taxable. Means what? Let us try to understand this with an example. Now, let us go to an example here. Say the same example, let me continue. So, in the earlier case, what we have done? 10 lakhs or 4,50,000, whichever is least will be allowed as your exemption. So, I had taken 4,50,000. When this happened, let us consider the date of transfer is 31st December 2019. Okay, and I had acquired this building on, let us consider, 1st February 2020. 1st February 2020, I had purchased this building. Now, I had taken this reduction and done. So what the provision says, the provision clearly says lock-in period is 3 years. I should not transfer that within a period of 3 years from the date of transfer. I should not transfer the property before 31st January 23. If I do this, if I violate this, what the act says, whatever gain exempted earlier. What gain exempted earlier? 4,50,000. That entire gain becomes taxable. So the entire gain becomes taxable. Say suppose what I am doing, I had transferred that building on 31st January 21. 31st January 21, that building was transferred. So that building was transferred. Now what? I'll be getting some sale consideration. Say let us consider this building I am selling for 25 lakhs. So 25 lakhs is going to be my sale consideration. Then what the act says here? The act says the long-term capital gain exempted earlier will become taxable. Means what? Now your cost of acquisition, what is your cost of acquisition? 10 lakhs. So I cannot consider my cost of acquisition as 10 lakhs. So what I will do? 10 lakhs minus the capital gain exempted earlier, this difference only I need to consider as my cost of acquisition. I cannot consider my total sale I cannot consider my cost of acquisition to be 10 lakhs. The gain exempted earlier will become taxable. Means what? I will reduce my cost of acquisition to the extent of capital gains exempted earlier. My cost of acquisition was 10, gain exempted earlier was 4.5. Now what I will do, I will reduce this 4.5 and this will be taken as my cost of acquisition. So ultimately, indirectly, what is happening? Gain exempted earlier will become taxable. We'll do one problem once we finish off this provisions. We'll do one problem so you can easily understand the particular scenario there. Now let us proceed to the next part. There is something called as capital deposit account scheme. 54B, same as section 54. Same as section 54. What is this? I cannot take the deduction till I purchase the house, till I construct the house. I can take only a deduction only when I purchase the house. Sometimes purchasing the house will take some little bit of time. Why? Because my requirements, I am not able to find a suitable house as per my requirements. So I am keeping on searching for my requirements. So it is taking some sort of time. But I can take the deduction only when the new house is purchased, only when the new house is constructed. There is a time limit given by the act for 2 years or 3 years. But the act again says you can take the deduction only when the house is purchased. I am selling in this year. I may be purchasing after within a period of 2 years, or I may be constructing within a period of 3 years. Then I cannot take the exemption now. I need to pay the long-term capital gains now. So to prevent this, what the act says, to give a benefit to the SSC for taking a deduction immediately, the act says whatever amount you are deposit, you can take an exemption by depositing where? Depositing in something called as capital gain deposit account. What is the time limit? It says you can deposit there on or before filing of return. On or before filing of your income tax return, you can deposit there. So whatever money you are depositing there, that should be used for the purpose. Say 54, section 54. Money deposited in the capital gain deposit account should be used by me within a period of 2 years. I have to purchase, within a period of 3 years I have to construct. If I am not doing that, then ultimately whatever amount deposited in the capital gain deposit account is taxable. Again, let me explain it clearly. So here what I am telling, say suppose I am getting a capital gain of 4,50,000. I got a gain of 4,50,000. I am not able to find the suitable house immediately. So what I can do, within the date of filing my income tax return, within 31st July of the said assessment year, I can deposit the money where? In capital gain deposit account. So what I had done, deposited in capital gain deposit account, taken the deduction under section 54. Deposit the money in the capital gain deposit account. I had went to State Bank of India, opened a capital gain deposit account. Whatever gain I am getting, deposited there on or before filing of my income tax return. My job for that year is done, taken the deduction. But what I need to do, whatever money which is deposited, with this I need to satisfy the condition. What is the condition? Purchase the house property within a period of 2 years, construct the house property within a period of 3 years, purchase a agriculture land within a period of 2 years, purchase a land and building used for the industrial taking within a period of 2 years from the date of transfer. If I do this, if I utilize this, then there is no problem. If I don't utilize, unutilized amount will be taxable. What is the meaning of unutilized amount? Say 4,50,000 was there. I had used only 3 lakhs and I had purchased some residential house property. What within the said limit, within the period of 2 years, I had purchased a residential house property only with the cost of 3 lakhs. Then what is the unutilized amount? Unutilized amount is going to be 1,50,000. Unutilized amount is going to be 1,50,000. This unutilized amount is going to be taxable. How it is taxable? If your original gain was long term, this also will be taxable as long term. If your original gain is short term, even this also will be considered as short term capital gain. So that purely depends upon my original asset. Originally this was a long term, so ultimately 1,50,000 will be the long term. So the same provision applies for section 54, 54B as well as 54D. So that's what is something called as our capital gain deposit account. So with this we had completed section 54, 54B and 54D. Now let us also cover two small sections, 54EC as well as 54EE. Let us first try to understand the applicability. Same as 54D, applicable to any person. This also applicable to any person. What capital asset you are supposed to transfer? You are supposed to transfer something called as a long-term capital asset. You need to transfer something called as a long-term capital asset. Okay, what is that long-term capital asset? The long-term capital asset should be only land or building. You can either transfer land or you can either transfer building, but that should be always something called as a long-term capital asset. If such land and building is a depreciable asset, if the land and building is a depreciable asset, period of holding should be less than 36 months. Period of holding should be less than 36 months. Okay, if that is not a depreciable asset, it can be greater than or equal to 36 months. But if that is a depreciable asset, the capital asset should be transferred, the period of holding should be less than 36 months. The asset should be held, the asset should be held, the asset should be held for a period of more than 36 months. Let me change that here. So the asset should be held for a period of greater than 36 months. Okay, again, if you are having a land and building which is not for depreciable asset, generally what the act says, if you hold for a period of 24 months, I will call that as a long-term capital asset. But the same thing 54 EC says, if you are holding this land and building as a depreciable asset, then your period of holding should be for a period of more than 36 months. So if you hold that for a period of greater than 36 months, then only the asset is eligible. Then coming to the next section, 54 EE, here you can transfer any long-term capital asset. So if you look into 54, what long-term capital asset you are transferring? You are transferring something called as a long-term residential house property. If you look into 54 EC, you are transferring something called as a long-term capital asset, only land and building. But if you look into 54 EC, you are transferring any long-term capital asset. That could be anything. 54B, short-term or long-term, only agriculture property. 54D, short-term or long-term, only the industrial undertaking, land and building. So that's what is the conclusion which we can draw. Now, what is the condition which you are supposed to comply? The basic condition is within a period of 6 months from the date of transfer. Within 6 months from date of transfer, within 6 months from date of transfer, what we need to do? We need to acquire something called as a specified asset. Within 6 months from the date of transfer, you have to acquire something called as a specified asset. Same condition here as well. Within 6 months from date of transfer, within 6 months from date of transfer, what you are supposed to do? You are supposed to acquire something called as a specified asset. The specified asset for 54 EC is different. The specified asset for 54 EE is different. Now, what is the specified asset? Let us see. What is the specified asset which you are supposed to acquire? Let us try to see that. The specified asset for this purpose is nothing but any sort of bonds issued by National Highway Authority of India, any sorts of bond issued by Rural Electrification Corporation of India, and any sort of bonds issued by central government. If you are purchasing any sort of bonds issued by National Highway Authority of India, Rural Electrification Corporation, capital gains, I can say, and that is purchased within a period of 6 months, I can say that you had complied with the conditions. Now, what is the specified asset for the purpose of 54E? The specified assets is nothing but here, any sort of units, you are purchasing some sort of units of some sort of funds which are prescribed by central government. Any sort of units of any sort of funds which are prescribed by the central government which you are purchasing, and within the period of 6 months, then I can say you had considered satisfied the condition of 54 EC as well as 54 EE. And one important thing is that during any financial year, investment should not exceed what? Exceed 50 lakhs. If that is exceeding 50 lakhs, that will be restricted to 50 lakhs. Same here also, same. Investment should not exceed 50 lakhs during any financial year. So that's what is nothing but your section 54 EC as well as EE conditions. Then what is the amount of exemption? Same as 54. Same means what? Amount of investment or capital gains, whichever is least, same as section 54. Same as section 54. Same. Lock-in period. So here the lock-in period is changing. So now let us see the lock-in period. We are having two periods. Yeah, let us try to understand the lock-in period. Depending upon the date of acquisition, the lock-in period is decided. Now here, let us see what is the lock-in period. If the bonds issued before, any sort of bonds issued before 1st April 2018, the lock-in period is what? 3 years. The lock-in period is same as section 54. The lock-in period is going to be considered as 3 years. For any sort of bonds issued on or after, if the bonds are issued on or after, bonds issued on or after 1st April 18, then the lock-in period for that is going to be 5 years. That means you should not sell the asset within a period of 3 years. You should not sell the asset within a period of 5 years. If you sell, what will happen? Capital gain exempted earlier will be taxable. Whatever capital gain exempted earlier will be taxable if sold, transferred within lock-in period. So within the lock-in period, whatever asset you are transferring, entire thing will be sold. Entire capital gain will be taxable. That's what is nothing but the lock-in period for 54 EC. Now 54 EE, the lock-in period is same as 3 years from the date of transfer. You should not transfer that within a period of 3 years. If you transfer, whatever gain exempted earlier will become taxable. Whatever gain exempted earlier will become taxable. So that's what is the basically section 54 EC and 54 EE. For this, the capital gain deposit account will not be applicable. This capital gain deposit scheme is applicable only for section 54, 54B as well as 54D. So that's what is basically section 54, 54B, 54D, 54 EC, 54 EE. So now let us stop for today. In the next class, what we'll do, we'll try to do few problems on section 54 exemptions. Then we'll try to finish off the remaining other sections such as 54F, and we'll try to understand something called as 54H. With that, I can say 54 exemptions is done. Then we'll get into the most important part, section 112, 112A, 111A, and relief under section 112, relief under section 111A. With that, income tax theoretical portion is done. Then we'll be getting into few problems. Okay, with that I can say the entire capital gains is set to be completed, right?